On the 29th of September in 1938, an agreement was signed in Munich by 4 parties, representing the United Kingdom, France, Germany, and Italy. The agreement stated that Czechoslovakia, whose representatives were invited to the city but kept from commenting on the agreement, which was signed with them out of the room, would cede the Sudets, the border regions of Bohemia, Moravia, and Silesia, in other words, the historic Czech lands, due to their German population, to Germany. This would result in a period of time known as the Second Republic for Czech people, the first having been founded in 1918 following the end of the Great War. A war nobody who signed the agreement knew quite yet would be redubbed World War I. The reason the French and the British representatives thought there wouldn't be a World War II was their belief that this act would appease Adolf. It didn't. The takeover of the Sudets by October 10th of 1938 was not the end, as on March 16th of 1939 Adolf would decree the annexation of Bohemia and Moravia into a protectorate, making us part of Germany and ending the Second Republic, which had lasted only 4 months. We would remain occupied until May of 1945. With the capitulation of Germany on May 9th, there still remained 2 days of fighting in Prague until May 11th of 1945, marking our liberation from the Nazis by the Soviets. The thing is, we possibly could have been rescued earlier. The Americans had already reached Bohemia. In fact, they had liberated the western border, but they were commanded by the Soviets to not go past a specific line, marked by the cities of Plzeň, or Pilsen in German / how English speakers would understand it, and Karlovy Vary, or Carlsbad, similar language situation. The Yankees were told do not go past the beer and mineral spring cities, so that the Soviets could be considered our liberators, despite the fact the Soviets were a week away while the Americans were only 3 days away. Also that in 1948, 3 years into the existence of the Third Republic, a coup by the Communist Party could succeed, turning Czechoslovakia into Socialist Czechoslovakia and putting us squarely in the Eastern Bloc, behind the Iron Curtain, for the next 41 years until the fall of the Berlin Wall in 1989 and our very own Velvet Revolution that year. With no legal access to Coca-Cola as a Western imperialist import. Yes, I'm done with the preamble. Hi, I'm Katie. I'm a Griffin, a transhuman, and if I haven't made it blatantly obvious with the Zimmerman and ROR videos, I'm Czech. Well, technically Moravian, but that's a regional thing and mainly means I'm in the wine half of the country, not the beer half. And also we all bitch about people from Prague and have some variation on cuisine and traditions and some dialect changes. The point stands, I was born and raised in the Czech Republic, which became a thing when the divorce went through from Slovakia on January 1st of 1993. And I was raised by parents who were respectively born in 1966 and 1969. Nice. With grandparents who lived through the entirety of socialist Czechoslovakia. And so, I live in the aftermath of that. Be that social progress being held back due to social unrest being towards a regime repressing freedom of speech and expression unilaterally instead of just towards queers, plus the lack of civil rights movements by marginalized groups. The importance of the president being symbolic due to the inability to vote in elections for anything but the Communist Party during elections in that era, the economy being in shambles afterwards, and although having recovered somewhat, it's still not great, us getting the 90s in the early 2000s, like Pokemon and Digimon, not making it here until the early 2000s, as animated shows for kids, or the most important aspect for this essay, besides being behind on everything, food. Because the Iron Curtain made us definitely part of the Eastern Bloc, and the Eastern Bloc worked on central planning. Central planning that was honestly dog shit and garbage at actually meeting the needs of the citizens. It was far too common to stand in line at a grocery store to get groceries only for it to be your turn and there not being groceries anymore, or you having to bribe the shopkeep to, put away some stuff for you in secret. It was far too common that the party declared locations will produce something they were not built or experienced in producing, or moved people with experience in production away from there. Andong from the YouTube channel My Name is Andong recently put out a video about Vietnamese coffee and mentioned this. The party had no fucking clue what the workers were good at, because by this point Stalin had fucked everything up for everyone, which included importing goods. The party was doing its best to become self-sustaining in production to not depend on imports, but again, sadly, they were dog shit at it. So people could not get what they wanted because it wasn't available, or it wasn't being made, or it was illegal to bring in. One of these things, as mentioned, was Coca-Cola. Truly a symbol of Western colonialism that Coke is everywhere nowadays, that I can walk into a grocery store and it will be there, alongside Pepsi and Fanta and others. Plus, without high fructose corn syrup, if you get it here, we use actual sugar. Eat shit, America. But we did not have it during the Cold War era. So let me tell you what we did have. The year is 1959. It's been 11 years since the coup. People still somewhat remember Western brands on shelves during those 3 years after the war. The only soft drinks available are raspberry and lemon sodas. People crave that Coke so fucking much, just so much, that the party leaders go: tak dobrá kurva, fajn, vítám Výzkumný institut rostlinných léčiv. Stvořte sodovku na bázi kofeinu, jak západní Coca-Cola. Udělejte proto všechno, co můžete za použití pouze místních ingrediencí. Možná se nám podaří sehnat něco od spojenců z Jižní Ameriky, ale nepočítejte s tím. Cokoliv, slyšíte? Cokoliv! And anything they did. Using a collection of herbs, fruit juices, caramel, and caffeine that, when necessary, was extracted from the soot of coffee roasting facilities, a syrup was produced, dubbed kofo, by one Dr. Zdeněk Blažek. The syrup was then watered down and carbonated, creating kofola, quenching the thirst of the poor Soviet citizenry for Coke. While the early production was very awkward, with the factory not being up to snuff and not being used to producing Coke, having only made soda water, it didn't take long for it to blow up, as it truly hit its peak in the 70s. But after the fall of the Iron Curtain there was trouble, however, as Kofola had become a generalized trademark for many other sodas around the former Eastern Bloc, meaning it took a lot of legal fighting to make Kofola be just the one soda with the original Kofo syrup as its base and not any of the derivatives. On top of that, people still crave that Coke as a symbol. So Kofola waned in popularity in the 90s. Thankfully, it brought back its popularity when it was bought by one company in 2002, which changed its name to the Kofola Company once it got the rights and the recipe. So that's all the history you need to know. The invention of it, but how much of an impact did it actually have? Personally, I'm pretty sure a big one. I can assure you of that. I'm certain of the fact that my experiences in this regard is one a lot of Czech kids from small towns share. So the experience being their dad getting babysitting duty for the afternoon so mom could do stuff, so he'd bring them along with himself to the pub where he'd get 2 beers with his mates while ordering Kofola on draft for the kids. Possibly with a bag of chips as well as a treat, because Kofola is on draft in many pubs around the country. And it's an excellent option if you're sober or the designated driver. You don't have to be excluded from the ritual of holding a pint and toasting them, because you'll have a pint full of a dark, sweet, slightly sour and just the tiniest hint of bitter liquid for you to drink. Really good bartenders even make sure to pour Kofola in such a way that it gets a head of foam, like beer is supposed to have. It didn't just have an impact on bar and pub culture though, because it is also sold in 2-liter bottles in stores, of course. Plus a liter bottle, half-liter bottle, can, there's options. That means it needs to be advertised. So let's do a quick tangent, kind of related, kind of not related. In Scotland, there exists an orange soda called Iron Brew, spelled India Romeo November Bravo Romeo Uniform. I've had some imported. They sold it at the Tesco near the AT&T offices where I worked. It tastes like orange flavored bubblegum, which I liked. Every Christmas season, the way you can tell it has quote unquote started is that a specific Iron Brew ad begins playing. An ad parodying the Snowman cartoon, with the snowman being a 30-minute short film about a kid building a snowman that comes to life in the middle of the night. They mess around at home and then fly to the North Pole for a snowman party together, while an angelic voice sings about flying through the air and gorgeous scenes of nature go by. Finland plays it at noon on December 24th annually.
Suomi mainittu, torilla tavataan.
The Iron Brew commercial parodies the flying through the air part specifically, with a kid holding a can of Iron Brew and a snowman asking for a sip. The kid keeps being an ass and not sharing, so the snowman just nicks the can and drops the kid into a pile of snow. Tangent over on that part. Now that you know that, well, Czechs have a similar ad tradition that started in 2003, and you guessed it, it's with Kofola. And it's a funny ad that's also just really sweet. I need to do a tangent again, but it is related to Czech culture this time. I promise it's context for the Kofola ad. There's this tradition we have around Christmas about the golden pig. Basically, to keep children out of kitchens while preparing Christmas dinners, parents the country over figured out a tradition that they tell the kids. If you manage to fast from breakfast to Christmas dinner, you'll get to see a golden pig. Now, I can't decide how old a tradition it is, but it's old enough to have survived the botched job at socialism we had. So, golden pig, we on the same level here? Good. The Christmas Kofola ad opens with a father explaining to his young daughter, no older than 6, the tradition of the golden pig, as they're going into a forest to poach a Christmas tree. Daddy, the girl asks, will it have those big teeth curved up? big teeth? The father ponders, sawing a small tree down. If you can do it, there'll be teeth. The girl, Kitty, proclaims. I don't have to, I see it already. The father, shocked, turns back. The next shot is of him carrying his daughter as they flee from a boar. What does any of it have to do with Kafla? Absolutely fucking nothing. But it's tradition. And it's funny. And it beats the shit out of the Coca-Cola trucks and their bullshit Santa Claus on the side. You know I'm right. You fucking know I'm right that this ad beats the Coca-Cola trucks coming to town. The polar bears are a much better winter ad campaign for Coke. Plus, wow, gotta eat enough. You get spit in my fruit. I'm keeping that in. Plus, it tastes better. Kofla tastes fucking better. Medicine. Fucking Coke is considered a medicinal drink for stomach bugs here in Eastern Europe. So if you want to have a good time drinking soda, you get yourself some fucking Kofla and grin ear to ear from joy at this homebrew. Well, that's it for this video. Worm transfer complete. I hope you enjoyed learning some stuff. I do not have any import company to link you that could get you a sample, but I could probably be persuaded to pursue it for a reasonable fee. As in, buy you a can or one of the small bottles, wrap it in bubble wrap, put it in a box, and ship it wherever you want to get a taste of it. I'll probably put my email for business inquiries about that in the description below. No promises, but the option is there. See you in the patron thanks section. Bye. Hi again. Hope you enjoyed that one. Hope you enjoyed the video. The reason I'm dressed up is because today's Anime Fest in Brno, and I'm going. I'm going as a witchy Pokemon trainer. I'm just gonna put the Pokeball around my neck, the Pokeball Go Plus that I have over there, and stick a Riola out of my back. Not to mention the witch hat. But since this is a Kofala video, I figured I'd pour myself a cup while mentioning this, and while mentioning some good news. First bit of good news. Should probably stand back so that you can actually see me for it. I'll do that in a second. Let me just pour first. So, first bit of good news. I got a job finally. I'm starting July 1st. Besides that, I just put down the reservation cost on a flat, an apartment, so I'm going to be moving in June. So, those are two pieces of good news. But, this is the patron thanks section, so there's another piece of good news. We have a new $10 patron, so let's go ahead and thank all the patrons. $20, Aurora. Thank you so much, Aurora, for your continued support and for the allowance you've given me for Anime Fest. $10, we have Ginger, Kylie the Healer Witch, and joining them from the previous $5 tier, Thistlefox. And of course, there's all the $5 patrons that I appreciate very much, even if I don't read their names out loud. You can join them by following the link down in the description below, where you will also find a coffee link for one-time donations and, the HIO link where you can purchase my books. I've been Katie. This has been me sharing more brain worms. Cheers. I wasn't kidding about the possibility of exporting it.